Greetings, our beloved viewers, and welcome to Namibia at Work program, a talk show hosted by the Minister of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation. Today in the studio, we have Mr. Shou-Henock Amukwa, Deputy Director for Labour Inspectorate Division within the Ministry, to talk to us about workplace inspections in terms of basic condition of employment as stipulated in the Labour Act. Mr. Amukwa, welcome to the talk show.
Thank you very much.
Many are times where labor inspectors are conducting workplace inspection. Could you just enlighten our viewers as to what is workplace inspection in terms of basic condition of service and why is it important?
Yes, thank you very much. So in the Ministry of Labour, we have a directorate called Labour Services. That directorate Labour Services is mandated in order to ensure harmonious labor relations at the workplace. This actually to promote the industrial peace at the workplace and also to make sure that the workforce, the national workforce, they are protected from unfair labor practices, and also to make sure that they also understand the labor law in order to ensure compliance with the law. And under that directorate, it's where we now have two division. So the first the one of the division is called Labour Inspectorate. That division, its mandate is to ensure that both employer and employees they adhere to the provisions of the Labour Act, particularly to the basic condition of employment at workplace. The other division it's a division of occupational safety and health at workplace. That division it's actually to make sure that the workplace is a conducive work environment so that the people can work in a safe working environment, free from accident and also from the occupational disease at workplace. So now coming to the question, workplace inspection. When it comes to the basic condition of employment, the division Labour Inspectorate has labor inspectors that are appointed in terms of section 124 of the Labour Act in order to enforce the law and also to ensure that the provisions of the labor in terms of the basic condition of employment is adhered to. Meaning that the labor inspectors, they are doing their legal functions as they mandated by the law. So they usually conduct the workplace inspection. So in Namibia, like in other countries, we have a lot of economical sectors, and in those economical sectors, there are some irregularities or non-compliance when it comes to the Labour Act, particularly to the basic condition of employment. So in the Labour Act, we have a very important chapter, Chapter 3 of the Labour Act. It comprises of the basic condition of employment. So that chapter, it provides for the employer and employee to comply with the whole chapter. So we cannot negotiate about the chapter, but it gives no provision for us to negotiate about the chapter, but rather to comply with the whole provision of the Labour Act. Basically, it's for all the employer and employee to enjoy the labor rights as stipulated in that chapter. So now the labor inspectors, as I have alluded that it's their legal mandate or function to go and conduct at those workplaces, merely to ensure the level of compliance. How do the employer and employees are complying with the provisions of the Chapter 3 on basic condition of employment? So the labor inspector, they are going there to make sure that they determine the level of compliance with the provision of the Labour Act. So basically, the workplace inspection, it's very crucial and very important for all the employer and the employee to enjoy the benefit of the workplace inspection, because it has mutual benefit, both for the employer and the employees. Thank you.
Okay, and maybe just perhaps to take us through, what are some of those basic conditions of employment as stipulated in the Labour Act?
Yeah, basically the basic condition of employment, it starts with there are listed in that chapter, there are listed items under that basic conditions. There are sections. So, for example, let me start with, in every employment, one has to start with the negotiation. So we have to go into the contractual agreement. So you have to come around on the table before anyone touches any kind of work. You have to have the mutual understanding in terms of the terms and condition of employment. One of the items, particularly and very important, it's the payment. One needs to understand and negotiate, and they have to agree on the payment, because the contract of employment is a voluntary by nature. It's not by force. No one can force someone to work, otherwise it will be tantamount to forced labor. So one has to, both employer and employee have to come around the table. They discuss, they agree on the terms and the condition of employment, and they also understand one of it, it's remuneration. Remuneration, it's about the payment, how much employees has to receive for payment after delivering the personal services. So then they have to, in terms of Section 11 of the Labor Act, so they have to come up and agree on the payment. And the other issues also, the chapter provides for the hours of work. So how many hours the employee has to work, either per day or per week or per month. So those are the hours provided by the Act, so that they can regulate the work, so that the employee cannot get any loophole to exploit the employees by making them to work more long hours, prolonged long hours. So those are some of the one. It also gives provision of how one has to work for overtime, the sick leave, the maternity leave, and then the employees and employer have to clearly understand what the basic condition of employment brings along, so that they can really comply with the law. And as a division, we are the law enforcers. We are always safeguard the compliance of the law, and particularly the basic condition of employment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There is no debate that workplace inspection contribute to decent work. What are the key functions of labor inspectors, and how do they contribute to ensuring decent work across all sectors of the economy?
Yes, thank you very much. There's no doubt, as you have alluded, that the decent work always, it's good not only for the economy, but also for the welfare of the employee. So now the labor inspectors, they have a critical role to play. Yeah, in terms of the whole, for the benefit of the whole country, being at the organizational level or the national level. The functions for the labor inspectors, the critical functions for the labor inspector, number one is to disseminate the information in terms of the labor law. We educate the employer and the employee before we enforce the law, because it's a very crucial for one to understand and know the law before the application thereof. So it's the critical role of the labor inspector to ensure that they clearly understand the law, and then they can be able to educate the employer and the employee out there about the labor rights. So they go and give education awareness. They can also ensure that the law is enforced. So that's one of the functions of the labor inspector. The labor inspector, as we have alluded from the beginning, they are conducting the workplace inspection out there. So the main issue is that the employers should make sure that they have a legal obligation to adhere to the provisions of the Labor Act as far as the employment and the employment relationship is concerned. So the labor inspectors, they are also enforcing and also executing the arbitration award. It's their responsibility to make sure that the concluded or the drafted arbitration award is full executed, so that it can give the result to the complaint. So those are the main function. They are also conducting a lot of education awareness in different types of platform, being in the radios, being in the road show, and also any other platform where we found it necessary for the labor or the law enforcers, which are labor inspectors, to disseminate the information as far as possible across our country in order to understand what is the labor law is all about. Thank you.
Okay, now with that explanation, can you just take us through as to how many workplace inspections were conducted during the presiding year by the ministry, and what are the findings of this inspection per sector?
Yes, we usually used to conduct workplaces inspection on a quarterly basis. So to sum up the total inspection conducted by the labor inspectors, there are around 1,775 countrywide in different sectors of economy. So we can mention some of them, like in security sectors, in agriculture and hospitality. We also conduct the workplace inspection in construction, in informal sector, and also in wholesale and retail. So now out of that 1,775, 1,359, they've complied with the provision of the Labor Act. So that means that they did well, they understand the law, and they comply. And they also comply simply because the labor inspectors, they do due diligence, good work, through educating the parties, both parties, the employer or the employees, and their effort is now the one that emanate that around 1,359 they have complied with the provision of the Labor Act. That translates to around 76% of compliance. So now coming to the question of saying what are the probably kind of the issue that we found out. We can say some of the sections that were not complied with are, for example, payment of salary. Complainant, they are coming with, we have found out that the overtime hours are not paid, and they are working long hours as compared to what is stipulated in section 16, which is talking about the ordinary working hours at work. So those are the kind of non-compliance issues that we have detected, and we also making sure that we labor inspectors, they take some action, appropriate action, so that they can ensure that all those companies that were not complying with the law, they are complied.
You just mentioned about some punitive measures that the labor inspector normally put in place. Can you just take us through what are those measures that you have in place to ensure compliance?
Yes, thank you very much. Every case is treated by its own merit. So, however, the Labor Act, our legal tool, has provided the labor inspection power. And also in terms of section 126, it gives the labor inspectors to make sure that they can issue a compliance order to any employer or anyone who are unable, should they detect that this kind of employer did not comply with any provision of the Labor Act in terms of the basic condition of employment, they can, and they have a reasonable ground to prove that, they can issue the compliance order. Because if they should have any reasonable ground, I mean that they, at their own discretion in terms of compliance of the law, they can be able to issue the compliance order after they satisfy them that yes, there is a really reasonable ground to issue the compliance order, because compliance order is a legal document and is also subject for appeal by the employer. Yes, those are the kind of, that's a punitive measure. And should the employer fail also to either to honor to the compliance order, or and yet did not fulfill what the labor inspector expected from him, then we can lie a criminal case to the police with that regard. Thank you.
So, of course, both employees and employers have rights and responsibility when it comes to the law. Now, in your view, what are some of these common misconceptions regarding these rights, and how does the ministry address them?
Yes, the labor act actually it gives the balance of rights between the employer and the employee. It neither, to my knowledge, is not on side because it's a balance. It gives a balance rights to the employer and the employee. However, there are a lot of misconception regarding that issue. Sometimes the employers, on whatever reasons, they think that it's more or on the employee, while on the other side also the employee, they think that the Labor Act, it protects more the rights of the employer. So those are the kind of misconception. However, one just needs to understand and also to have the knowledge of what is the labor law it's aiming for. It brings the mutual benefit for both parties. So we have found a lot of people who comes with a lot of misconception out there that know the employers, they are more protected by this act, or probably the officials of the Ministry of Labor, they are more siding to the employer, and that one it can also be found vice versa. The employer might also, it depends. When you feel you are not benefiting, or maybe you think the outcome is not favor what you were thinking of, and then you think that no. But if one understand the provision of the Labor Act, which is also our responsibility as a ministry, to educate our people out there. So those are the misconceptions when it comes to the issue of labor rights. Otherwise, in the absence of those misperception, then everyone just enjoying the rights at equal pace. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Now, Mr. Amukwa, with a shortage of labor inspectors, how does the ministry ensure adequate coverage of all, across all sectors when it's come to workplace inspection?
The Ministry of Labor is actually trying its best in order to utilize the optimal, the available resources at their disposal, being the human resources that we are actually experiencing as short labor inspectors in order to ensure the whole coverage when it comes to the inspection. So we really have a shortage of labor inspectors, and we also understand the scarcity of resources when it comes to the financial resources, due to the fact that as a nation, because Ministry of Labor is one of the government entities, office, ministry, and agencies, and probably due to the other competing national priorities, we found ourselves that we don't have enough labor inspectors. However, as a ministry, it's our prayer that we, at least our workforce regarding the labor inspector should be increased, so that we can increase the coverage. We have a lot of establishment out there that never received any labor inspection, and we have been waited everywhere in the corners of Namibia to in order to conduct the workplace inspection, and a lot of non-compliance with regard to the Labor Act. It's observed out there, but due to the lack of labor inspectors that we have, it's very difficult now to give justice or to deliver the service out there in the country, in order to ensure that we give the service to every Namibian citizen that needs also our labor services. So by saying that, we are trying by all means with the labor inspector we have, so that we conduct the workplace inspection, being in the urban area or rural area, being in the formal sectors or informal sectors. That's our aim, to make sure that at least we get the improvement when it comes to the labor inspection, and also our national workforce, they enjoy their labor rights as provided by the labor legislative. Yeah, we are also conducting and investigate the labor complaints that been lodged with our offices throughout the country. So out there we are receiving a lot of labor complaints that deserve a thorough investigation in order to understand where the disagreement in terms of the labor issue emanate from. So the labor inspectors, they should now, as per their function, can conduct the thorough investigation by bringing the parties together and understand from each party. They bring their case before the labor inspector, and the labor inspector can advise, mediate in terms of in order to harmonize the labor relations.
All right. Now, Section 125 of the Labor Act talks about the powers of the inspectors. What are the major highlights when it comes to the powers of inspectors? And do the labor inspectors sometimes encounter challenges in fulfilling those powers that is invested in them by the law? And probably just to tell us, how do they deal with such unfortunate situations?
In terms of that section 125, labor inspector has a lot of powers. And one of those powers is for the labor inspector to enter at any workplaces in order to conduct the workplace inspection or to attend to the labor complaints at that workplace, as long as they satisfy that, yes, this is the workplace. So there's nothing prevent them from entering at that premises with either they did appointment or without an appointment. They can just show up in order to conduct their duty. They can come there, they can record, they can take any measurement, any sample, so they are mandated or they are empowered to do so. They also have a power to summon the complainant or the employer before them, either to call them to the office in a prescribed form with a specific time and the venue, and then they can try now to conduct the investigation or try to do their work as per the mandate. So they can they can enforce the arbitration award. So they also have the power to require someone to pay. With regards to the challenges, labor inspectors at many times whenever they want to come and conduct the workplace inspection, particularly in agriculture, they find the doors, they are intentionally locked, or they find the workplace is empty. There's no one apart from the dogs and the cats that are there. So those are the kind of the challenges that the employers they found, or you find the uncooperative employers. So when the employer found the labor inspector or sees the inspector as like maybe an enemy or someone who's just come to disrupt the workplace, or who trying to unnecessarily delay the progress of his work. And those are the kind of the challenges. However, behind the challenges, there are way forward on how to eat. Yes, thank you very much. The challenges that we usually encounter when we are conducting the workplace inspection, particularly in the agricultural sector, sometimes our labor inspector they show up for the work, and they found the doors or gates are intentionally locked, or you find somewhere they the security guard who usually stays at the gate, they are already commanded that they cannot allow any labor inspector to enter into the premises. And that makes the work of labor inspector difficult because one cannot able to finish what he wanted to, he came for. So, or you find the uncooperative employers who thinks that maybe the labor inspectors, they are just there targeting a specific employers, just either to delay his progress or maybe to make sure that he want to interrupt with the business, and so with the different types of reasons they can come up with. But as I've argued in the beginning, that first of all, those challenges, now we have to understand it, where the challenges comes from, and how we can, a labor inspector can be able to come up with the way forward regarding those challenges. So some of the challenges, we found out that some of the employers, they have knowledge, they don't understand what is the purpose of the inspection. They understand that maybe it's just those are the kind of the people that are coming into their workplaces in order to instigate their employers, or they want to bring laziness type now to the employer, and also maybe try to bring politics into their workplace. But however, the labor inspectors, it's their duty also to make sure that they thoroughly explain their intention and how the intention, how their workplace can bring benefit to both the employers and employee. And after explaining, conducting workplace inspection brings the conducive work environment. It can increase production, and it can also bring happiness to the employees because they will going to enjoy their labor rights as provided, and then they can be able to start working, and they will be motivated workforce. So by doing so, giving the thoroughly explanation to the employer, then you can see how the employer can welcome them without any doubts. And if we found that the employer is still trying to be difficult, non-cooperative, so we can be able to also to make use of the Namibian police. They can be able, we can get an assistant there, they can accompany us because they can use their minimum force as per their legislative, and then they can be able to assist us so that we can make sure that we fulfill our mandate. And if we really find out that, okay, all those things we have attempted, we can easily lie a criminal cases because of obstructing our work as a labor inspector. Because we are doing the legal duty empowered by the law, and anyone who trying to prevent us from fulfilling our mandate, it can be a criminal case, and we can lay a criminal case to the relevant authority, which is the Namibian police. And further investigation will be conducted. Should he found guilty, then he can be able to be punished according to the criminal procedures.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, earlier on, you spoke about non-compliance when you conducted inspections. How does the ministry address those challenges of non-compliance with regard to basic condition and condition of employment, including collective agreements that we have in some sectors?
Throughout the conducting workplace inspections, we usually try to make sure that the people, our intention is to have everyone comply with the law. And we also understand what's difficult for them not complying with the law. Because we found people who are really trying to comply with the law. And there are people who are habitual contravenant of the law. And those people, we have the profile. We understand that we understand them from long. Obviously, we have to take action on that. So either on the spot issuing the compliance order, or if depend to the nature of the compliance. For example, maybe there is a non-compliance in terms of section 3 or 4 of the Labor Act, which talks about the child labor, prohibition of child labor. That's a straightforward criminal case. And then the other relevant authority will go and conduct the investigation in terms of the criminal, as we are just going to register the criminal case. So the compliance order in terms of section 126 is the legal tool that can be used by the labor inspector to compel the non-compliant to comply with the law. So, and it has a regular procedures, and one, it can go up to the laying of the criminal case if the person is really not complying with the law.
Okay. Previously, you also mentioned about the powers. One of the powers of the labor inspector is to issue a compliance order, and we know that maybe there are some employers who, on a repeated occasion, are always not complying with the provision. How does the ministry enforce such measures in order to avoid repeatable offences, especially by employers who are always in contravention with the Labor Act?
Yeah, the main issue is that we are enforcing the provision of the Labor Act, and we are actually enforcing it how it is in terms of dealing with someone who is not complying with the law. And that legal tool that is given to the within the power of the labor inspector, it's the compliance order. So however, we are not denying the fact that the law needs to be revised so that it can give a provision either for giving fine on the spot, or maybe try to make sure that they also come up with some other measures until they try to rectify that non-compliance. So there are other things that also I think that needs to be, the law needs to be revised so that it can try to compel the employers to quickly rectify in terms of the non-compliance.
Okay, we just stepped in the new financial year, that is 2024-2025 financial year. Probably, can you just tell us what are the main focus areas for the ministry this financial year when it comes to workplace inspection? What are your targets?
Yes, thank you very much. Our main and broad aim is to ensure that we increase the coverage in terms of the labor inspection throughout the country. That's our main aim. However, we have a specific plan that we concluded that how many targets do we plan to conduct inspection in terms of every quarter. Yeah, those we really focus on conduct workplace inspection, particularly targeting on the child labor. We really want to make sure that Namibia is a country free from child labor. So that's why we put more emphasis with the focus of identifying the children that are recruited at workplaces. So we have also targeted to conduct a lot of inspections based on the available resources we have in different sectors of economy, like informal sectors. We also targeting the wholesale and retail sectors. We are also targeting the security sectors, where we usually receive a lot of complaints from that sector. We are also targeting agriculture and hospitality, and also transport, fuel, a lot of sectors. We really have a lot of numbers that we really want to meet when it comes to the workplace inspection. Thank you.
Right. Perhaps can you is there maybe a final remarks that you would want to share with our viewers?
Yes, a lot of final remarks, but let me just focus on the broad one. I actually want the viewers also to be part and puzzle in the workplace inspection, being that they can also alert or can notify our ministry in terms of any non-compliance out there, in terms of any child labor they found, in any cases of non-compliance with the provisions of the Labor Act, including themselves also, if they are employers also, they can help us to be voluntarily comply with the provision of the Labor Act. They can be the eye and ears of the ministry so that they can also be part of this good exercise where it can also help to make sure that all the welfare of our people, employees, they are taken care of. Thank you.
Mr. Amukwa just highlighted the vital role of labor inspections in upholding the principle of decent work. He further narrated how, through the dedication of labor inspectors, strides are being made to ensure that conditions of service for Namibian workers are never compromised. But one thing is, conditions of employment are non-negotiable unless it is more favorable to the employees. Anything contrary to that is regarded as a violation for the law. Mr. Amukwa also highlighted that besides workplace inspection that the ministry conducts, employees can also launch their official complaints with the ministry so that the ministry can investigate those complaints.